Hello, I'm C. Edward Baldwin, and this is the Ink Report. Today's blog post, or should I call it vlog post for a video blog, is about the 2016 election. Now, the presidential election, the official one, is not going to happen until 2016 in November. Of course, we all know that. But I wanted to touch on a few things today. Now, it's a long election season. What is it now? We're August 2015. The actual election is not till November 2016. And we're talking about conventions happening in, I guess, June, July of next year. So what I'm getting ready to say today is going to take some of the drama off. Well, maybe it won't, because some of you guys will refuse to believe what I'm getting ready to say anyway. But I'm getting ready to say it. One, now, if you are a Donald Trump supporter, a Bernie Sanders supporter, or and somebody hoping that Joe Biden gets into the race, or you Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, well, there's not a whole lot of those people, so I won't name them. But let's just say if you support Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, you might not want to see this, because you might not want to watch the rest of this blog, because I'm getting ready to break some things down to you. But mostly, we want to get into the Marco Rubios of the world. We're going to talk about Donald Trump mostly, and then we'll kind of get into Bernie Sanders. But either way, these supporters are not going to like me. Well, I won't say they won't like me. They're not going to agree with me, but it'll be to their own chagrin. Now, first of all, Donald Trump. Here's the thing, Donald Trump supporters. The Donald is not going to win the Republican nomination. But if he somehow won the Republican nomination, he will not be the president. Why? Because he is not going to get the right amount of Latino and black vote in order to win. And no matter what you guys are telling yourself, that all you need to do is get more white voters out, you're not going to be able to win. Now, you can win without simply not getting the black vote. You can. But you cannot win without getting some Latino vote, right? No, because if you can't alienate both minority parties. You just don't have enough of a majority to win. And there's not enough of white conservatives for you guys to carry the election. And unfortunately for you, and I know Don is telling you, the Latinos love me, the blacks love me. They don't. So the Donald will not win. If he somehow came out the Republican side, he will not win the presidency based off that. And I'm sorry, that's just point blank. Now, here's the thing. And if you think about it for a second, you'll come to your senses a little bit. You are in love with the Donald because you say the Donald says what's on his mind, which that's not really true. The Donald says something that struck a chord with you, and that's why you like him. When he came out talking about the Mexicans, I mean, we've heard the statement. I don't even need to play it again. But that's what it was. That's what you liked about it. He came out and said the Mexicans are the rapists, and we need to do something about immigration. And he spoke to you. And so you disregarded everything else about the Donald that you didn't like, because he said something that spoke to you. And none of the other Republican candidates were willing to say that, because you said they don't speak their mind. Now, here's the thing. Look, we all love the crazy uncle who says what's on his mind. But you can't always say what you want to say when you're in polite company. And that goes the same for politicians. Now, you guys want a true believer, someone who believes what you believe and going to say it no matter what. The problem is, if you guys look at your numbers, you're only 25% of the people max. And we live in the United States of America. 25% of the people ain't going to force their exact agenda down somebody's throat. Even your God, Ronald Reagan, realized that. You have to compromise. And so, Tea Party people, I understand your passion and your anger. But no one, just look, think about it like this. You are passionate about certain things. But there are other people just as passionate about their things. Okay? So you can't get your people in there and just ram down your throat of people, ram down people's throat what you want. And I know you say, hey, that's what Obama did. No, that's not what he did. If there weren't some people who wanted Obamacare, it would not have become law. And that's the thing you cannot seem to get your head around. Even your neighbors who's out there with a pitchfork in his hand screaming about Obamacare realizes that there's something about Obamacare that he likes. He's just not going to tell you. That's why Obamacare is law. Not because Obama was some dictator. And your leaders are playing you. And in some instances, you are playing yourself. Now, you like the Donald telling you saying some hard truths. That's some hard truth. Obamacare is law because enough of the people wanted it, whether you did or didn't. And even if the numbers say, 47% of the people didn't like it, 47% did, or the numbers was 47% for against and 40% for, trust me, it was better than that. That's why it's law today. So stop fooling yourself. Now, as far as the Donald, he has too many problems. If you think about it, he hasn't told you, what's this? He's going to build the Great Wall of China on the Great Wall of the United States, and Mexico is going to pay for it. It sounds great, makes no sense. Mexico is not going to pay for a damn wall. I don't care what the Donald says. And the Donald's going to find out something else. He wouldn't, excuse me, he's not going to find out something else because he's not going to be president. But if he happened to become president, he would have to find out how politics works. And I know it sounds good to say, we need to kick all the career politicians out. But ask some of your Tea Party people. As soon as they got into office, as soon as they went to Washington, they realized there's a certain way you have to govern. Now, you can get somebody in there that can tweak here and maybe start to guide the ship a little bit toward your direction, to get rid of some of the career people, some of the deal making. But politics is still going to work like politics works. And that's a reality you're going to have to get behind. Or don't. But you will never see the White House again. Now, secretly, what Democrats want is for you to get your true believer. Because you will find out, if you get your true believer, you will find out what Democrats found out when Democrats put George McGovern up in for the White House back in 1972. You can't get somebody on the far region of your party to win a national election. That's just fact. And as much as you like to believe that Ronald Reagan was a far right part of your region, he was not. The fact that Ronald Reagan started off as a Democrat really helped him in the 80s. Win those elections. And the fact that he understood that he had to work with Tip O'Neill, he had to work with the Democrats, and he understood the compromise, and he raised taxes. He went against some of his principles, or some of conservative principles, in order to get deals met. It's like you guys love to put up Ronald Reagan as the beacon of conservative hopes and dreams, but Ronald Reagan is not this ghost you've made him out to be. Okay? So, but that's another hard truth that you don't seem to understand and realize. And you don't understand the pure numbers. Now, let me jump the gun here, and let me throw up this map. Now, the map that you're seeing here is the final map of the 2012 election. And as you see, the states that Mitt Romney won versus the states that Barack Obama won, and you can see the electoral results down at the bottom. Barack Obama 303, Mitt Romney 206. That was an ass whipping, and in the shape of the imagination. Now, your best chances of taking something from the Democrats is maybe the Colorado and New Mexico. You might have a shot there, and Florida, depending on who you get. If it's Bush, Florida would be a battle, and I don't think you'll get Virginia. Obama won Indiana in 2008, lost it in 2012, but that could be another toss-up. I think a Republican will win North Carolina. I think the numbers will be tight, and it would tighten in 2012. But that's because a lot of blacks came out, but it just wasn't enough. We had an unpopular Democratic governor as well here in North Carolina. That's a state that I'm in. But I still think that the Republicans will probably take North Carolina in 2016. Depending, again, though, on how hard the Democratic nominee will push, which will be Hillary unless something crazy happens. Bernie Sanders people, I told you, you're not going to like me either. But this is what you're looking at, is this map, and it's pure numbers. And the numbers are not favorable to Republicans. And there's only one Republican on your docket, out of all those candidates, who could challenge this map. And it's somebody you're not even going to give a shot to, and that's John Kasich. John is the only Republican on your side that scares Democrats. And he's a straight up Republican. He's a straight up conservative. But he's done just enough stuff like the spending Medicare and all that kind of stuff that will convince a number of a number of Democrats to vote for him. If you elect Jeb Bush, the fact that he's a Bush, he cannot win the national election, no matter what he tells you. Okay? Marco Rubio can't get it done. He's probably not going to win your nomination anyway. And and that's what we're looking at. So, I mean, you got a hard battle to go. Again, the only thing that can stop a Democratic president from becoming president, and which would be Hillary, is if something huge comes up that we don't see. But I doubt that's going to happen. This email stuff that's kind of dogging it now, here's a little thing. By the time the election season is well underway, as far as the Democratic nominee versus the Republican nominee, the email thing is going to be old battle and old news. And you can bring it up as much as you want to, but it's going to be just like that. What's that? Aries stuff that you had, you're palling around with terrorists that you try to do with Barack Obama. Reverend Wright with Barack Obama back in 2008. You remember those things? You talk about them too soon, and what happens is the power of them kind of lessens over time. And that's going to be the same thing when it comes to this email battle. So in Benghazi, you're going to keep banging that crap down. There's nothing there that people give a crap about. And that's the other thing about some of your talking heads. They keep talking about things that's just not important to the American people. And they feeding it to you guys, and you want to believe it. And then you go out and you can't imagine why America is voting against you. I know Fox does well in the numbers. You look at Fox numbers, and so many people are watching Fox. But if you look at the numbers, you talk about 900,000 people. Yeah, Fox News is beating MSNBC. You know, I was online the other day debating somebody about this. The fact that Fox News has a higher rating doesn't mean that the country is thinking like you guys. The fact that you guys can win elections in the off seasons in 2014 and 2010 doesn't mean the whole country. One thing I can say about Republicans is that you're passionate and you come out, you watch your leaders on TV, and you come out to the off season elections. Democrats don't do that. You just, liberals, progressives, however you want to call them, don't get that involved in off-season elections. But when the presidential election comes about, you see they come out in droves. And make no mistake, when Hillary Clinton is the Democratic nominee for president, blacks will come out. We love the Clintons. Hispanics will come out. They love the Clintons. Even if they're not completely sold on Hillary, they love the hell out of Bill. And you're going to have to contend with that. So that's some hard truths. And I know I spent a lot more time than I wanted to talking about Donald, but here's the Bernie Sanders fans. You ain't going to win a Democratic nomination unless, again, something happens to Hillary that I can't see today. And I don't see that happening because Hillary has been planning on running for president for a while. So this email flap, a little misstep, I don't know exactly what she was thinking in that regard, but it's nothing serious there that's going to keep her from getting a nomination. Bernie's not going to get the black vote. And it's not because of the Black Lives Matter thing. Blacks love the Clintons. And it took a while in 2008 before we actually swung support toward Barack Obama. It was not an easy call. Okay? And the way Bill and Hillary handled that situation, blacks will not forget it. So she's going to get the support. So it doesn't have anything to do with Bernie. Blacks will support Hillary. And Latinos will as well. So there you go. Oh, and as I'm thinking about this, I'm kind of rambling here, but I'm trying to get as much things in that's kind of running a little longer than I wanted it to. Republicans, the conservative voters, feel as if they can just get their man up there, a true believer, they can win. And your establishment know what the hell they're talking about. You can point to John McCain all you want to, but no matter who you guys ran in 2008, Bush messed it up so bad that we could have ran a dog against the Republican nominee in 2008 and would have won. That had absolutely nothing to do with John McCain. He was running into a headwind. That's why he swung for the fences with Sarah Palin. He knew he was running in a headwind. The upset that year wasn't Barack Obama beating John McCain. It was Barack Obama beating Hillary Clinton. Because no matter who was coming out the Democratic nomination process was going to win the presidency, period. That's how bad George messed it up. And you guys still don't seem to understand that. And as far as 2012, look, the nation was not ready as a whole to elect a Mormon. And I know that sounds bad, but that's just true. He wasn't going to win anyway, right? It's going to be hard for him to win anyway because the country wasn't as bad as your people were telling you that it was. Even the people telling you now. Yeah, you got 25% of you just angry and talking about the country is in a bad way. There are a lot of people that don't feel the same way, period. But as far as Mitt Romney was concerned, it wasn't the fact that he was a Mormon, a moderate. It was the fact that he was a Mormon. Some of your Southern evangelicals stay home, period. So what I'm saying is you can thumb your nose up at your moderate all you want to and get yourself a true believer. Try to get yourself a true believer up there and run them nationally. And you'll see what the Democrats learned with George McGovern. A true believer will not win the national election. Just will not do it. And that's a hard truth. So none of your candidates scares anybody, including Donald Trump. The only guy that has a chance of winning the national election, there's two, is John Kasich and then Jeb Bush. But the fact that Jeb Bush is a Bush is going to keep him from winning the damn thing. That's a hard truth. So, hey, like I said, I usually want to save this to next year, but I felt compelled to say something today. I'm out.